When COVID struck, I was guaranteeing £25,000 worth of rent every month, and I was like, oh boy, I'm in trouble. And occupancy rates were a bit all over the gaff, and I could see people getting made redundant, and I was like, this rent-to-rent thing could go seriously wrong. What do I do? But then something interesting happened. I started to see that there was, initially there was a bit of a pullback. But then what happened was the demand started to increase and bounce back. The biggest challenge at that point was just physically doing the viewings under lockdowns or moving people in under lockdowns, and people in houses potentially catching COVID and just having to lock them off completely, and people having to self-isolate for 10 days. And we kind of navigated our way through that. But as soon as I saw that, hang on a minute, property is a core need. I mean, there's two types of doubt in rent to rent, to be fair. The first doubt is, can I get the deal? Are landlords going to trust me? Can I get the deal? The second part is, can I fill the deal? So I already knew I could get the deal. But then as soon as you start doubting whether you can fill them, that's when you need to be a little bit careful and start to really look at the market. And what happened was the demand for tenants went down. The demand for companies SA went right down. It was crazy. And then I started to see them recover, and I started to see new elements of demand. And that was the time when I was like, observe the masses, do the opposite. We're going to scale up. We're going to use this opportunity to scale. And we did a lot of deals in terms of acquiring properties through COVID. And at times it's been a grind to fill them. We made sure that the rent to HMOs was split between professionals and students. We made sure the rent to SAs was split between corporate construction and tourist and leisure guests, so that we weren't reliant on one market. And then we've just scaled and scaled and scaled. And for a while, I think our lowest occupancy rates went down to around 80%. But as of this week, in fact, as of about the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've been at 100% occupancy. Even our serviced accommodations, we're barely having one night empty. The only time we are having one night empty is when I refuse to take a one night booking and there's just like a freak one night gap. But typically all HMOs 100% occupied. Serviced accommodation occupancy rates are through the roof, and we're hitting new company records, and it's like, okay, can breathe, the gamble was worth it, and now it's time to scale further. But if you're into markets and market cycles, you'll know that when things start going well, and when the prices of stuff go increase and everyone's full, that's when the market's more competitive. And that's why sometimes when things are uncertain, there's huge opportunities. And I saw some people starting rent to rent in the middle of COVID when it made no sense to do so, really. But they've smashed it. They've come out of COVID with 5 deals, $5,000 a month, and they're ready to scale and build up. So the biggest challenge in my business right now is I've not got enough properties. My phone's going crazy with new booking requests, direct booking requests, student requests, professional room share requests, and I've run out of rooms. I've got no more rooms left. And I've just had a booking request now on Airbnb, and double bookings galore. We can't take any more on. So my aim now is to try and scale this business up. And for a while, I thought, have I hit the limit? And then I met one of the execs at one of the biggest agents in my area, and they manage 3,500 properties. And I thought to myself, hang on a minute, I've not even scratched the surface yet. So what I'm working on now is, okay, how do I then get beyond that? Like, how do I go beyond 600-700 grand a year rental revenue and move up to 1.5 million? And for me, as a new business, sometimes you're getting in your own way. So my challenge now is, how do I break free of that? How do I scale this? How do I reinvest the cash flow into the business to scale it? How do I systemize it? So we've now implemented systems across all our businesses so that everything is documented. Everything has a paper trail digitally, because if something's not written down, it never happened. So we're hiring, we've got new staff, we've got new team, and we've kind of really consolidated at this level which means it's now time to scale. So if you want to see me on that journey, I'm going to document it all here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for weekly content. There's tons and tons of videos. Feel free to join the Facebook group. It's the Creative Cashflow Facebook group. Over 2,000 people all talking about creative cash flow, rent to rent, HMO, SA, BRRs, and how to be financially independent from property. And I'll speak to you soon.